when you got off the train and you had that shift in your perception to recognize that there's only that, God alone is, it's all the mother, but you still went on to learn...
To study and learn with Ramesh.
So what can you tell me about, what's the inner experience of someone who's gone beyond duality and now is learning practices?
You see, from a devotional stance, there's no end to it. Like Ramakrishna said, you can go in a liquor store, you have one bottle of liquor, and you're as drunk as you can be, but you're inside a whole liquor store. You walk into the ocean, anywhere you step your foot in it, you're in the ocean.
Yeah.
So obviously, the Divine Mother is endless. The presence is eternal. It's just her Leela. I mean, that's the way it unfolded for me, was to... I mean, it's like, obviously having darshan of the Divine Mother, then the feeling arises you'd like to know more about her worship. Because it's not just the philosophical sense of seeing everything as consciousness, but even in the personal sense, the Divine Mother, in a personal form of the Divine Mother. So it was part of developing the teaching that I'm presenting. It was a vehicle. Philosophically, I'm interested in what the Mother tradition represents, which is an integral philosophy, honoring divinity inherent in life, living consciously, the self and the power of the self being one. And somehow it was befitting to also learn the traditional worship and mantras associated with a tradition that embodies the Mother, the formal Mother tradition. And then philosophically, of course, there's the influences that give rise, in the Western context, a lot of the Eastern philosophy brought into Western context.
Indeed.
I mean, there's still experiences. I mean, the Divine Mother passed a mantra, and then Ramesh gave me the same mantra.
So in a mystical experience, the Divine Mother gave you a mantra.
Yeah. It's all connected together. Just one thing leads to another, leads to another. And there's no sense, it's just the way consciousness is presenting itself, the way it's moving. One thing leads to another.
When you had that encounter...
It was the Mother that appeared as the Mother, and it was the Mother that sent me to Ramesh, who was her devotee and carrying on her tradition, to learn more about her worship. There's no end to self-improvement. Within the idea that there's only God, one can still refine themselves. The experience of oneness is oneness, but within that oneness, you can still improve yourself on a personal level. And you can even, your experience of oneness is always oneness, but at the same time, you may go where there's a lot of meditation, you may feel a strong presence. You may be somewhere else and not feel the same presence within that oneness. So why do great saints go and visit other saints and go to places of pilgrimage? If they've already experienced the self, then why bother going to a place of pilgrimage? Why not go? Those are all places the self stands revealed. And it's natural. I mean, if you like pie, then you're going to go and have a piece of pie. Why not have it?
In the same way that we stopped at the Self-Realization Fellowship today.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place that represents...
Of course. And, again, God's infinite. And God's glories are infinite. And like Ramakrishna said, it's not necessary just to play one note on the flute, There's many notes on the flute. So... there's no sense of it just happens. Certain people have the karmas to be drawn to certain things. It's not necessarily, it's not doing these things to try to get something. It's just natural to be doing them. there's an impulse from within, an attraction.
There's no sense that you're doing
There's
it.
no sense that you're doing it. There's no sense of need. It's what's happening.
There's no sense of
Need. It's what's happening. And it's more of reveling in the bliss of the self, you know. It's like you do chanting before the experience of God. One may do chanting to experience a deepening presence. After the experience of God, they still continue to do chanting. Then it's the glory of the one reveling within itself. You know, it's not like, well, now I'm going to stop chanting because everything's seen as God. Or now I'm going to stop, I won't do the mantra anymore, I won't visit saints, I won't learn anything about the Divine Mother or her worship because I had darshan of the Divine Mother, or realize this is all a play of consciousness. You know? Especially if you're in a teaching mode, these things can be helpful. Because it's a format for people to be able to contact the formless Shakti that's passed through these different vehicles. So people can touch that which can't be seen through something they can turn their mind towards. The mantra isn't as important as the grace that's passed in the mantra, or where the mantra comes from. And that's what people touch through doing the mantra. You know? So these are vehicles of grace. They're traditional, but they're very ancient. Because they're so ancient, because they've been used for that purpose for so long, one enters a field of energy where many saints and many practitioners have done these practices to realize and experience the Mother. So when you couple that with the philosophy and the living Shakti, it becomes very potent. You know, it's morphic resonance with so many people that have done these mantras that have passed over the ages. So it's very helpful to tie into the power of that tradition instead of trying to start something new, to capitalize on what's been done for so many thousands of years, you know, because it's a great aid. One automatically enters that sphere of influence when they start repeating that mantra that so many beings have used for that purpose, and have realized God through that means, you know.
Thank you.